All right, so you're going to use the knowledge that you gained last time for writing equations and apply that to these are kind of application problems, real world problems that you may have to do. So last time, if they gave you 2 points and we had to write an equation, how do we write an equation for that? What do we have to find? The slope and B, which represents the y-intercept. So we're always using this equation. You'll be using that again today on every problem. You have to find M and B. So how do we find slope given these 2 points? What would go on top? -2 -3 over. Good. So on top we would have -5 over -3. So our slope is 5/3. So we now know our M. How do we find our B? Very good. So I'd use this one. 3 equals 5/3 times 2 plus B. What is 3 minus 10/3? 3 minus 3/3 would be -1/3, wouldn't it? Anybody gonna argue?
No.
I think that's right, but it doesn't matter. So then we plug that back in. Y equals 5/3 x minus 1/3. No. It didn't matter for this specific example. After this, it matters again. All right, so this is what you're doing today. The only problem is they're not going to tell you the 2 points at the beginning. This will not be given information. That's the only difference. You have to pick the 2 points that you're going to write your equation for.
Wait, make them up?
No. So we're going to do example 1 on page 87. That's the only example we're going to do. We're going to go through that step by step, and then you'll be doing that in your homework projects. First, though, on page 86, we talk about positive, negative correlation. When you plot these values, it may look something like that. That has positive correlation. As this value, whatever it is, goes up, so does this one. That is positive. I think the Algebra 1 book, I don't remember what book it was, but had an example of diving. The deeper that you dive or go under the water, what does the pressure do? Increase. So that has positive correlation. So the deeper that you go, the more the depth increases, the pressure would increase the same. That's positive correlation. Negative correlation would mean as one increases, the other decreases. And I can think of an example for that off the top of my head. But as one increases, the other decreases. That is negative correlation. And then, I'm not going to put this one up here, but you can see there on page 86, the one that has dots everywhere, that is no correlation. The data is kind of worthless. Doesn't tell you anything, doesn't tell you anything about the two variables. They are unrelated. So what we use this for is to predict the future value. That's the overall goal today, predict the future value. This first example has some data about the prices of homes from maybe the last 10 or 15 years. Well, if you've got data from 20 or 30 years prior, you can use that data to predict what the value might be 20 years from now. And that's what this is all about. So that's what we do. We write an equation for the data that we have, and then we can plug in a future value and see what it would be then. So looking there at example 1, it says, the table below shows the median selling price of new privately owned one-family houses for some recent years. In 94, it was 130. 96, it was 140, and that's obviously $1,000. So for A, it says draw a scatter plot and a line of fit for the data. So that's the first thing you're going to do. You don't have to draw or write down all of the numbers. You don't have to write down all the numbers they give you. The first thing you're going to do is make the scatter plot. Now, very important point here. You need to write this down or make sure you hear me, because if you don't, you will not get the homework correct. You do not use the years at the top. I would make the top row your X. I would make that go along the X-axis. So that would be years. Years along the bottom. And then price going up the other side in thousands. Don't put like 1994 here and 1996 and 1998. You want to use the years since the first year that's given. So what was the first year that's given? 94. That's going to be 0. There's no year since 94. So your first year will be 0. And then that second value is 96. How many years from 94 is that? 2. So your next year would go here at 2. And your next one would be 4 and so on. I think each one over 2 years apart. So on your homework, make sure you do that. Make the first year 0, and then however many years since for the next ones. Okay? Hopefully that's happening. Yeah, perfect. So in the year 94, which we had 0, how much? What was our thousands? Price from the table. Anybody see that? They're following along. 94, first year. 130. So we plot that. For 96, what was the price? 140. For 98, what was the price? 152, so you're going to go a little bit past 150. What was the next one? 169. So you'll be just a little below 170. And 186.7. And almost 220. Now, I have a stack of graph paper, all different kinds up here. You will have to use graph paper for your homework. The sketches you're probably doing right now won't work because your points have to be exactly where they're supposed to be. The sketch won't work. It won't show you the correlation. If you just sketch one down there and don't put them at least, I mean, you can do this. They don't have to be exact as far as that goes. But if you just put them around here on your graph, you're never going to be able to tell what your correlation is or what the lines are doing. So you will have to use graph paper to get this done. All right, so we've done step 1. What was step 1? Scatter plot, graph points. That's step 1. That's all you have to do. Plot however many points they give you. The next thing that you have to do is pick 2 of these points that fit the data pretty well. It might, on one of your homework problems, there was a point down here like this. We don't draw this on here. This is for example's sake. But if you chose these 2 points and you drew your line here, would that fit your data very well? No. So you have to pick 2 points where you can draw a line through them that will fit pretty well what's going on. Okay? And there's no right or wrong answer. Everybody will pick different ones, and your answers will be a little bit different, but they should be pretty close. you should be able to pick a line that's pretty close. Usually, you're going to want to pick one of the first couple or two or three, and then one on towards the end. Don't pick too close together. Some people were doing that yesterday, and their answers were way off. Okay, try to pick them that are a little bit spread out that fits your data. So, I don't know, maybe this one, maybe these 2 points. So once you've done that, you've picked your 2 points. Like we did that first example where I gave you the 2 points. That's what this is about, is getting those 2 points. So what were the coordinates of this one? That was the, would have been 98. So you don't put 98 there. How many years from 94 would that be? 4. So the point is 4, and then 152.8. And then our other point was the last one. What year was this? 152.5. Thank you. What year was this one then? 2004. So how many years would that have been? So it's 10, and then that one was 219. What? I didn't pick the same points. Okay, that's what you're asking.
Oh, yeah, I know that. The best fit line.
This is the best. This is my best fit line. It may not be. It's not the book's best fit line, and it may not be yours. I may not have gone through the same points that you would.
Oh, it's the only where it takes a while to hand on to.
No, it could go through more, but it has to go through 2. You know, if the data was really close together, if all these points were pretty well on the line, if you drew it through every single point, it wouldn't matter. You just had to pick 2 of them. Has to go through 2 points.
From the start to finish. From the
What?
start, one and then something else.
Yeah.